him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-macabre, it's time for the only news that matters. And Ace Frehley said it took him years to get over being replaced on 4 tracks from the 1976 Kiss album Destroyer. Despite that, he said he normally got on well with producer Bob Ezrin, whose strict work ethic had come as a challenge in the infamous unruly guitarist. The session saw Ezrin shouting into Gene Simmons' face for giving up on a take without being told to, wearing a coaching whistle, and as Paul Stanley reported in his memoir, Bob made a point of letting us know who was boss. He told us, "We didn't know anything." Worse for Frehley, the producer brought in Alice Cooper's band guitarist Dick Wagner to play guitar on the tracks Sweet Pain, Flamin' Youth, Great Expectations, and Beth. People don't always say as much, but me and Bob Ezrin got along most of the time, Frehley told Guitar World in a recent interview. But sometimes I'd show up late because I had a hangover from the night before. And everybody knows I was an alcoholic. And luckily I got, now I'm celebrating 17 years of sobriety. But back then it was different, you know, as described Ezrin as a guy who liked to get things done quickly, but suggested it was probably because he had a mountain of cocaine and a bottle of Remy Martin on the mixing desk with him. But of course, Paul and Gene never mentioned that. Frehley confirmed that he hadn't been told about Wagner being brought in, and only found out once the record was complete. I was told Bob did that because he felt my solos weren't as great as they should have been. But it was more about punishing me for not being on time. I see it was partially my fault because also partially Bob's fault. But the thing that bothered me most was that I wasn't told he had replaced my solos. I had found out after I listened to it on the record player at home on my turntable. That bothered me for a long time. Elsewhere in the interview, Frehley joked about he had never used effect pedals on stage because he'd trip over them, and that he predicted the impact he'd have on other musicians. He'd had done things differently. "I'm always flattered when people tell me I influenced them," Ace Frehley said. "If I knew I was going to influence thousands of guitar players, I would have practiced more." I've had so many players come up to me and say, "You're the reason I play guitar." And I'm like, wow. Yeah, well, you know, Ace is very influential, and in no way I'm putting down Ace's guitar playing, because to me he's one of the greatest when it comes to doing solos that are songs within songs. But his playing is not so difficult that a beginner can probably get it. A beginner can probably get an Ace Frehley solo before like a Frank Marino or Ted Nugent solo, you know. You can cop Ace's feel, but can you write like Ace? That is the magic part of Ace Frehley. It's not how well he plays or how well he doesn't play. It's what he plays. And that's what I love about Ace, and I love about music in general. I like that human, organic nature of guitar players. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love technically great Yngwie Malmsteen, you know, your Steve Vais and stuff that play, you know, very technically perfect. But man, do I love the simple stuff like what Ace Frehley does. You know, it's just amazing to me, his solos, you know. And I am pretty, you know, and I consider myself a pretty good Kiss nerd. But I got to tell you, I had no idea he didn't play on Flamin' Youth, Great Expectations, and Beth. I knew he didn't play on Sweet Pain. But Flamin' Youth is like the only song on the album he contributed to. And he doesn't play on that? You know, Great Expectation and Beth, yeah, I guess, you know, deep in the mix there's some acoustic guitar that, you know, Dick Wagner did, you know, but you can't really, it's not part of the song, and it's definitely not something I hear when I'm listening to it. But Flamin' Youth, yeah, and also Sweet Pain, when they released the Resurrected album, I liked Ace Frehley's solo more, and I've lived with Destroyer since the 70s. And then I hear this version with Ace Frehley, and I'm like, what's wrong with that? You know, nothing against Dick Wagner. He's awesome, and I don't mind Dick Wagner's solo on Sweet Pain either. I think it's pretty damn good. But I like the Ace version because it sounds more like Kiss. You know, that's what Kiss is supposed to sound like. You know, 70s Kiss. Ace Frehley is extremely important. Well, let me just say all four are extremely important because once that got fractured, you know, it all went to crap, you know. But the original four, when they played together in the 70s on those albums, it was pure magic. And they could have done some of that on Psycho Circus, more than one song. It really is ridiculous to think of after Psycho Circus, they do Sonic Boom, which is a total retro 70s album. Why couldn't they do that with Peter and Ace? I mean, why? No, they thought it'd be a better idea to release that. And don't get me wrong, I don't really hate Psycho Circus, but it didn't really set the world on fire either, you know? And I think if they would have got all four original members, took their time, you know, yeah, it might have been tedious recording it, but take your damn time and make history again where you release an album with all four members on all songs. That would have been better. I mean, no doubt. You take your time, refine it, get rid of that stupid Peter Criss ballad that Paul wrote. You know, give him, I don't know, give him something mellow like Harlech Woman or something. But don't give me none of that lush garbage that was like, God, that song's, it's up there, one of the worst Kiss songs ever. But this is where it all started, right on Destroyer. You know, I don't know, I haven't heard anything that there was anybody else involved in Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun. But then again, I didn't know Ace didn't play on Flamin' Youth, Beth, and Great Expectations. So I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun is all four original members, and that's where it ended. It's just so ridiculous if you really think about it. Kiss gets Ace and Peter back in the band, and what happens? The biggest tour, even bigger than U2 and the Eagles that year, I think. I know it was the biggest tour, period. No tours was as big as the Kiss tour. All original four members. You're back together. It's what the world wanted, obviously, because Revenge was tanking. You know, it wasn't filling arenas. It was over. I don't care how technically great your band is, man. The original Kiss is the magic. And they could have done a Psycho Circus album. All right, you know, have a couple songs. Have your Psycho Circus with Paul and Tommy Thayer, whatever. No, I take that back. No Tommy Thayer. Just all original members, all down the line. That's how I want to, you know, that's how I wish Psycho Circus could have been. Oh no, let's get two scabs and do what we should have done with Ace and Peter on Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom these nuts. Seriously. Anyway, I'm going to do a ranking of the Destroyer songs when I put up the Destroyer review coming soon. So thank you everybody for watching The Only News That Matters. And what do you think of this, Ace Frehley? Did you know you didn't play on those four songs? And does anybody know if there were any guests on Love Gun and Rock and Roll Over? I'd love to know. And also, you know, subscribe to my video. Subscribe to my channel, actually. I would love if you do it. In case you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. And if you have subscribed to my channel, please check to see if you're still subscribed, because people are complaining that they're getting unsubscribed for no reason. And subscribe again if you're unsubscribed. And like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty, listen to Black Sabbath, and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so nevermore shall we see you again.